I'm just trying to figure out how she could have survived if it was that long.
The craziest thing about this situation, I think, is because I believe she was there all night.
Hi, this is Empowering True Crime Alex, and this story keeps getting more and more miraculous the more I find out. I got an exclusive interview with Justin, who's a Texas man who just wanted to go fishing on Good Friday and ended up finding an almost completely submerged Jeep in the lake where he was fishing. Only to discover there was a missing woman alive inside when they tried to get out the vehicle. The police have not released any names for the parties involved, but Justin reached out to me in the comments of one of my videos and agreed to an interview. I find it heroic what he did, but he's so modest and humble. We definitely need more Justins in the world. Take a listen and let me know in the comments what you think of this story.
Hello?
Hey, Justin.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. How are you? How's it going?
I'm doing good.
Nice. Can you share with me a little bit about what you do for a living and maybe what you were doing on the lake that day?
All right. So, I work for a company that works on control valves for power plants and refineries and stuff like that. And we were off for Good Friday, and so I wanted to head over to the lake to do a little fishing. That specific location, I had never fished before, so it was actually the first time I was going to that little area, and it was real windy and cold, and I started not to go, but like I said, I was really wanting to try that spot out, so I decided to go. And this area that it was in is pretty secluded. It's not a lot of people aren't using that boat ramp, and it's kind of backed off in the woods a pretty good ways. So I went there, and when I got there, of course, nobody was there, but I saw the top of the Jeep, and it looked just like the picture that the sheriff's office had posted, the first picture that side there, the windows were all down, and I just assumed somebody may have been drinking and accidentally drove their Jeep in and swam out and probably left it to come back for it later or something. And so, but I went ahead and reported it to the sheriff's office, let them know what was going on. And then I was going to be fishing that area right there, so I put my hook in the water, and right after I got in the water, I thought I had heard something come from the Jeep that sounded like maybe like a moan or something like that. And so it was really weird. So I took my boat to the Jeep, and I started looking around to see if somebody was in there. And I looked for a while, and I kind of circled it, and you couldn't see in the front windows because the water, it's too deep in the water to really see in there. So I was kind of looking from like the back door area, and I looked, and I didn't see anybody in there, and I asked, is anybody in there? And no response. So I just assumed there was nobody in there, and the wind was blowing through it and everything, and it was making a howling noise because it was so windy. So I thought maybe I just heard the wind whipping through there. So I kind of pulled back off of it, and I started fishing for about maybe 10 or 15 minutes or something. And then that's when the sheriffs and the record service came, and the record service had asked me if we could use my boat to take the winch cables out to hook it up. Otherwise, they would have to get the game warden to come out and bring the boat to do that or whatever. So I was like, yeah, sure. So the record truck driver had a helper with him. I assume was his helper, but he came and got the boat with me, grabbed the cables, went out to the Jeep and hooked the cables to the Jeep to the back window on the driver's side. And still no idea that anybody was in there because, we were right there and you couldn't see anybody. So as soon as they started to winch, the guy in the boat with me was like, there's somebody there. And he started yelling, and I guess he caught a glimpse of her arm. She stuck it kind of up or out and was moving it. And so, of course, as soon as we realized that, we tried to get over there as fast as we could, and she was in the driver's seat, and the guy that was in the boat with me, he basically jumped kind of like half out of the boat and into the Jeep to get her unbuckled, to get her seatbelt off, and to get the door open. Kind of pulled her out, and then we were trying to get her in the boat. And my boat's really little, so it doesn't take much to rock it. And it kind of was starting to dip under the water and take a little water on. And then, so I kind of scooted to the other side of the boat to kind of counterbalance it, and I grabbed her arm, and he had her legs and everything, and we pulled her over the side of the boat into the boat, and then we drove her up to the bank. And the deputies, they were right there on the bank, watching, and that's how that picture was taken. And so when we got on the bank, we helped her up and got her into the cop car so she could warm up, and they gave her jackets and stuff. But I never got to speak with her because I think she didn't say anything that I can remember when we were getting her out. But I'm sure she was probably in shock. So because that water was really cold.
Wow.
Too, so.
And between the time that you saw the car, I know that you called the cops as soon as you saw the boat, the car was underwater. But how long did it take for the police to come?
I want to say it was probably, I don't know exactly, but it wasn't that long. Maybe 30 minutes. Because I remember thinking it was pretty fast for how far out, away from everything we were. So I remember thinking it was pretty fast. I want to say probably 30 minutes or so.
And the entire time, the boat was underwater. I mean, the car, I keep calling it a boat. The car was underwater?
Most of it was. All that was sticking up was just the very top of it. Like I said, the picture that the sheriff posted of just the Jeep by itself, that's how it was sitting in the water whenever I found it. And then they took that picture as soon as they pulled up. They took that picture of it in the water. So the way it's pictured, you can kind of see, it's almost completely submerged. There's just a few inches of the front of the vehicle, because the Jeep was facing directly down the boat ramp. So it was like nose first into the water. So the front of it was a little bit deeper than the back, but the front of it was the front driver's side window was out of the water a few inches. So it was almost completely submerged, but all the windows were down. So the water level was level, I guess you would say, across the whole Jeep. So it was full of water.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how she could have survived if it was that long. Because that's what, if you told me like the cops came 5 minutes later, and she was maybe like had a pocket of air,
The craziest thing about this situation, I think, is because I believe she was there all night.
Oh, wow.
And I was the first one to see her that morning. So whenever I pulled up, I knew that it didn't just happen when I saw it. That's why I didn't expect somebody to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
Or if there was somebody in there, I would not expect somebody alive to be in there for sure, because I could tell it'd been in there for a little while, because all the stuff had already floated out of it and was way away from it, and up on the bank, and you could kind of see like watermarks or where like pollen and leaves and stuff kind of on it a little bit, so you could tell it had been there for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And she didn't tell me, because like I said, I didn't speak with her, so I don't know exactly the details of what happened before I got there. But from as far as I know, she had been in there, from that night.
There was one article that came out, I believe it was today, from NPR, that said that there didn't seem to be any indication, basically that they said it was, that there wasn't any indication that it wasn't an accident. But that is, definitely, you remember the way that I approached the story. To me, it seemed like a miracle just from what little I had seen. And now you tell me she had been there that long. That to me seems like miracle. And I had quoted that follow me and I will make you fishers of men when I thought of you, and what can you say on that?
So, I'm not the best Christian in the world. I can tell you, you know, God definitely pops up every now and then to make sure He's there in situations like that. Uh, so I can't think of another explanation to it.
Yeah, and that's why I remember thinking, it was a Good Friday, and it happened on Good Friday, and you were right there where you needed to be, right? And because people don't know who you are yet, they I'm sure no one has really said it, but you are a hero for not only finding her, because I know God put you there to find her, but also to help rescue her. And that's amazing.
And as far as being a hero, I don't I don't think what I did was too spectacular. I think most people would have done the same thing in that situation to help her. I think the main thing was that it's just the situation was
Yeah.
just so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But
and there doesn't seem to be any indication of her condition, and it sounds like you didn't speak to her, but have you heard anything on your end? I know we can't share her name and things like that, but have you heard anything from the hospital or anything news on the street?
I have seen a few Facebook comments on some of these news stories of people that had said they knew her or her family and that she is recovering and doing okay. But I don't even know what her name is. So, uh, I didn't really think to ask at the time while I was there, and it wasn't never told to me. And then I haven't seen it in any of the news stories or anything. So, I just assumed they probably wanted to keep that to themselves for now, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So,
sure. Anything else you can think of that, maybe like something that stood out to you, or maybe just about the whole situation that you wanted to bring light to the story?
Really, I mean, the whole thing it was pretty intense, and that picture that they took, whenever I look at that, I know the way I was feeling, like right in that moment, and you can see the look on the other guy's face, the urgency, the panic of that situation, and just how crazy it was. And it's just, I think that picture sums it up pretty well as to exactly what was going on. And I'd also like to point out that that guy that was in the boat with me, he like I said, he got her unbuckled and got that door open and got her out of the Jeep, and it was pretty amazing. And so he definitely deserves credit. I don't know if he wants his name out there or anything, but anybody that might be listening that knows him, they should just know that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, because they only mentioned one wrecker. They didn't mention, or they just mentioned a wrecker. They didn't say anybody. So there was the person that was handling the actual tow truck, and then there was his, what you think is assistant that was actually on the boat with you. And he's the one who noticed the arm and then unbuckled her and got her out. Wow, that's incredible.
The thing that I guess that kind of it still bothers me a little bit is how I didn't see her in there whenever I looked initially when we looked in there, or I was in the boat by myself when I was looking that first time, and I didn't see her in there. And after this situation, I'm really glad she's okay, but it definitely I don't understand how I couldn't how I didn't see her in there, other than just it was submerged so much that you just really couldn't see very well inside the back window back there. But I know hopefully I'm not ever in that situation again, but if I am, I would definitely figure some way to further investigate it and to try to figure out how to make it to do something quicker about it.
Well, to be fair, I mean, you did the most important thing, which was calling the police, right? Because in some cases it could be potentially dangerous, right? Like, let's hope you're not in that situation, or maybe that you are in the situation and then, you can act fast, as you said. One other thing, did you end up taking any photos of your own?
I did take a picture of the Jeep the way I saw it when I first got there, and so I have a picture of that. And then uh, I could send it to you, but it's kind of like the same picture that the sheriff's office posted, but
Hmm.
it's just a little bit different angle where you can kind of see the side of it a little more. So
If you could send that to me,
you
I'll
can kind of see that.
definitely, because it does. I mean, because they've only released two photos, and from that, it's really hard to see it's hard to see how anybody could survive that. So maybe having another angle might give a little bit more perspective.
Yeah, I think the picture I'll send you, you can kind of see it a little bit better. But uh, yeah, even even looking at that picture, you're still gonna wonder how anybody could survive that.
Hmm. Well, that's amazing news that people who know her say that she's recovering and doing okay now. And we'll continue to pray, pray for her. But yeah, I mean, whether or not you want to, you accept being called a hero, it was definitely like you were there, definitely there to help. So you have to take credit there that you were there, you called the police, and that you helped to rescue her. So that's amazing. Was there any last final words you wanted to say?
No, I guess just when you see something like that, make sure you call the police and do what you can to help. Uh, and that's all you can do. But do something.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I cover a lot of stories. I call it empowering news, where people do say something or they do take action and they do help. And then people are rescued or they're found or they're saved, So it's a great lesson and inspiration for us, for what could happen. So thank you so much, Justin. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with me. I really appreciate it. Have a good rest of your night. Bye-bye now. Is this not an incredible story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and share with others to spread some more empowering news in the world. Thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button for notifications. Thank you.